All right, what's up, guys? It's been a very long time since we've recorded an episode. So it feels a little weird that we're actually here, but we're glad to be here. It's Christian, Ricardo, and Jacob for those who are watching or listening on a podcast. Andrew's not with us tonight, but we're sure we'll get his opinion on this final, which, if you are looking at the title, we are going to be talking the Europa League final tonight. Which is, of course, between Manchester United and Tottenham, two of the worst teams in the Premier League. But before we get started, Ricardo and Jacob, how you guys doing?
Oh, happy to be back.
Yeah,
It's been a while,
Been
yeah.
a while. Golly.
But yeah,
Yes, happy to be back. I can't wait to talk about this disgusting championship game.
you didn't say your word. I was waiting for the word.
How
You're gonna
am I
use-
how am I
It's
doing?
been so long, you forgot that's his tradition.
Yeah, you're
See,
right.
I didn't forget.
I'm trying to think of something smart, although I can't think of anything on the spot. I'm doing. I don't know if this is a word. A-okay.
I think it's two, but
Yeah.
Well,
It works.
it's 1.5 of a word.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we'll go with that.
All right. Let's just get right into it. Obviously, as I mentioned before, two of the worst teams in the Premier League this season, 16th and 17th, are playing in a European final to get Champions League football next season. I don't know how that's possible, but it is. I think we'll start with Manchester United because obviously they had a managerial change during the season, which is, not the most ideal thing, but it's worked for some teams in the past. Do we think the form has really improved under Ruben Amorim? Ricardo, I'll start with you.
Not really. He's only won 6 out of 26 Premier League games, something like that. I think I saw that stat. So I mean, they're still pretty bad. Obviously, they're not, his players that he brought in, but I'm not sure there's been much improvement throughout the course of his tenure so far. Maybe just a slight bit, but it's still very, very inconsistent in terms of performances. Well, I guess consistently bad, but inconsistent. They're just sometimes they'll show potential. There's like a spark here and there. They can score goals, but sometimes they concede far too many. So it's just like you never know what you're gonna get with United. I guess you could say that with Spurs too, but I I mean they're undefeated in Europe,
which is why this is so weird.
Yeah. So I guess maybe he prioritized that over anything else, and he was like, oh yeah, we'll just put all our eggs in this basket. And I mean, beating Bilbao is pretty, and especially the way in the manner in which they did, pretty convincing. And I guess on that front, there's been slight improvements.
Jacob,
I mean, I guess they're good in the Europa League, but my God, do they stink as a watch to watch their Premier League games? I mean, it is a tough watch. The way that they play going forward in the Europa League. Where is that in any of their Premier League games? Where is it? In the Europa League, they somehow rip off 3 goals a game when they could barely get 1 in any of the Premier League games that they score. And I don't think it's his fault that Rasmus Højlund is just, not good, to put it lightly. I mean, what bothers me even more is that they signed this unproven young Serie A striker. They had minimal success with him last year. So what do? Oh, I know what they're going to do. Let's go sign Josh Zirkzee, who played at a Bologna team where he had also limited success, and you see how that panned out. I mean, really? The problem with United is that it's so grim watching them, where you're like, would you? I mean, you maybe take 2 of their players when they play a good team. How many of their players make a combined 11? 3, 2, 1. I mean, Bruno's pretty good still. I like Amad Diallo a little bit. I don't know what his ceiling is, but it's a struggle for them to score goals. I feel like they're a little bit better at preventing goals, maybe a little.
Yeah, maybe.
That's probably the only improvement I've seen in their Premier League games, but they don't look like a much better team. And I understand these aren't his players. I get it. But if he's such a great manager, you'd think they'd be a little better. I mean, I don't think it'd be a lot to ask Ruben Amorim to have this team in the top 12. I don't think that would be unreasonable. And they're 16th. I mean, 16th. And I just want to make this clear. Some of the teams that are in front of them are not that good.
No, not at all.
And certainly not teams that should be better than Manchester United.
Yeah.
I mean, even when they had David Moyes, they finished in the top 10. Even when they had a depressed Louis van Gaal, they weren't this bad. Even when they had Ralph Rangnick, they weren't this bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. They leave a lot to be desired, and to me, it's like they need a serious overhaul of players. But what worries me is that it's I don't know, is it the players or is it the system? This system that he wants, I just don't know if it works. And if it works, you need to play this 3 at the back hybrid thing with wingbacks. You need very specific kinds of players for it to work, especially in those wingback positions. Because if you don't have those kinds of players, the system doesn't work. And I don't know. You know, they've signed a lot of players recently. They signed a lot of players this summer. You know, last year we thought Kobe Mainu had a chance to be a budding star. This year he gets hurt. He's in transfer rumors, and we don't know if he's ever gonna. And he barely plays. They spent a decent amount of money on Ugarte, and he's not always starting. I can't imagine that when he got signed, that's what they envisioned. So they have a lot of questions, and again, this is an overarching thing that I'm going through. But as far as Ruben Amorim is concerned, he better hope that he can get Gyökeres or whatever his name is, or Gyökeres. He better hope he can convince him to come to Man U. And if I'm him, I would not even think about going to Man U right now. But if he can get him, and he can figure out how to, get this genie in a bottle kind of form where he's as good as he is in Portugal, then maybe they'll be back. But they need a miracle. But for this game in particular, I think they can win it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the summer is going to be heavy on them. I mean, they have to think about certain players they want to leave, whether that's Antony, Marcus Rashford, who are playing better than they were at United on loan, respectively. But we'll see what the summer looks like. Obviously, it looks like Mateus Cunha is going to come in from Wolves. I think that's a good signing. I'm not sure where he plays, whether that's
again, what's his position?
I think he can feature either as at one of those 2 10s or
a false nine, like a false nine.
It's tricky to call at this point. I don't know where Amorim sees him fitting in
because he's not going to play a 10. I mean, that's for he's not going to play a 10 when you have Bruno Fernandes, unless they want to sell Bruno Fernandes, which again I really don't think is the way. Again, if you're Man U, look, I understand Bruno Fernandes is not perfect, but the way you rebuild the team is not getting rid of one of the only good things on the team. That's not what you rebuild.
He's a building block.
He's also your captain.
Yeah, I don't see a way where they move on him from. But I mean, in terms of this game, he's going to be, I think, the most important player for them. Just simply because of what he offers. He will pick the ball up from deep and try to create plays out of nothing, which again, not many players on this team do. I mean, maybe Ugarte can be a deep lying playmaker at times, but there just isn't much creativity in this team. So it's got to be from Bruno. Let's touch on Tottenham because, again, very similarly to Manchester United, they have had a crazy season where they've had this European run unexpectedly, just given where they've been in the league. They got to a cup semifinal in the Carabao Cup and obviously didn't go their way. I'll start with you, Jacob, on Tottenham. Do you think this could save Ange's time at Tottenham? Would it be a successful season if they win the Europa League, despite how bad they've been in the Premier League?
I think it's to be a great way for them to salvage a pretty pathetic season because, again, when you're Tottenham and one of the things that you're known for is never winning trophies. Pochettino didn't win trophies. Mourinho didn't win trophies. Conte didn't win trophies. All much better managers than Ange Postecoglou didn't win trophies. So if he's the one guy that can win a trophy, that's going to mean something to their fan base. And that's going to mean something to Daniel Levy, who is the one that writes the checks and makes all the big decisions. So as bad as Spurs have looked and as pathetic and as just uninspiring as even his attitude is, which sometimes can like the way he is going in these interviews and he's very arrogant and stubborn and sometimes disrespectful to some of these reporters where it's very off-putting. But if he can win a trophy, especially against like a big club like Man U, regardless of how good or bad they are, that's going to mean something to their owner. And that's going to mean something to their fan base because they could say, okay, this sucked, but at least we have this to hang our hat on. And at least, and that also would guarantee them a spot in the Champions League, right?
Yep.
Which is just, oh my God, so ridiculous. But that's beside the point. And that's going to mean something. That's good for the club. It's good for everyone involved. So, in my personal opinion, I do think they could salvage a pathetic campaign with winning a trophy.
Ricardo?
I think he's out either way. You're going to have a Ten Hag situation all over again.
It's great point.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, do you really want to go through this? What Man United just went through this past season, where he won a trophy at the end of the season before he got sacked, and then 2 months in, he's gone, and then you bring in another manager. Like, do you really want to be in that situation? That same exact situation?
And I think we all four of us kind of, we'd have to go back and look, but at least I think most of us were in the idea that shouldn't have saved it for him.
Yeah, no, I think we all said that. Yeah. But I mean, I feel like Daniel Levy should at least have that in mind, and don't do what United did in the sense of dragging this out, because it took forever for United to come to a decision. Ultimately, keeping him, and then the rest is history, as the saying goes. But this either way, regardless, personally, I don't think he should be brought back. And sure, there's the slight difference, I would say, is United have won trophies. Spurs haven't won in God, I don't know how many years now, but so it is slightly different in that sense that the fan base would at least have that to grasp onto. But I don't think they'll bring him back. But in terms of the way they play, I feel like against Frankfurt, they showed, or Ange showed, a willingness to kind of sit deeper instead of playing his normal, ultra attacking and kind of super exposed back line. So if he does that against United, I mean, I think it goes either way, honestly. But I think that at least on that front, his willingness to change and kind of adapt with what he has at his disposal could be the deciding factor. And Amrim has his own philosophy. He's very you're playing this way. So it's really a coin flip, but to say it'd be a salvage season, you could say sure, just for silverware, but he's gone either way, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree. It's weird because the injuries definitely play a factor into why this season has been so bad for Tottenham. But again, as Jacob mentioned earlier, the teams sitting right beneath those two, these are teams, even with injuries, you should be better than. So I don't think injuries are the end all be all in terms of blame and where the blame goes in this aspect. But I think it becomes a conversation simply because of Tottenham's lack of trophies in their history. But I do agree. I think his system is just too volatile in terms of just play one way. If it doesn't work, just going to kind of suffer with the 3 or 4 goals conceded per game.
Yeah.
I don't think that screams a consistent top 4 team year in, year out. That Tottenham, with the money they invest each season, is what it's required. So I would expect a change regardless of the result here. But I think at least maybe a conversation with Daniel Levy, simply because Ange would bring home something that is very rare for that club. That's, I think, the only reason why it would be a conversation.
Another reason, and just to play devil's advocate, and I said this before the show. Okay, you who would want that job? Tell me who wants that job. Who's desperate? Who's
the
desperate
squad's
enough?
good. I think that individuals are good. Let me put it that way. Not as a collective.
Yeah,
possibly,
that's true.
Maybe a manager will sit there and say, I can mold this group into a good squad. I mean, I think that's at least an argument to have in this. Just because, I mean, last season, I don't remember where they finished. Was it 5th? But
Yeah,
they are a team that's good enough to, at least in individuals, if we're just looking at the players, I think they are a team that should be competing for the Champions League.
Yeah.
Again, how much of that is on Ange, I guess, is the question. But I think that the group they have is good enough to get into Europe with the right manager.
Yeah.
I think the overarching thing that they're going to look at is, you look at this season in the Premier League, they've lost 21 games. 21. That's almost hard to do.
Yeah.
I mean,
Really hard.
One thing if they could draw, they only had 5 draws. If only one thing if they could draw a lot of games, they wouldn't be this probably far down in the standings. But I mean, it's hard to defend his record. It's really hard. But I personally still think that if they win this trophy, it might salvage them. I'm not saying it should. I just think it's possible. But I don't know. Tottenham is a rudderless ship.
Yeah. All right. Let's focus on this game. Looks like the major injuries for Spurs are Kulusevski, Madison, Bergvall. So a lot of changes in midfield potentially for this one-off final. For Man United, it's kind of Xerxes out, Lisandro Martinez, but these are guys that have been out for an extended period.
Yeah.
Maybe De Ligt gets back for a final. I don't know if he'd start. Dallow's kind of in that same situation.
Yeah.
Ricardo, I'll start with you. Just initially going into this, who would you give the edge to?
I would say United, because based off Bilbao, I'm going to say they had a tougher semifinal and they showed up. And the red card on Bilbao's part, that's because United, I mean, they were pushing the envelope. So I would say United only just, and I think Casemiro's definitely going to start. I mean, the thing is, they have players who have, well, I mean, Casemiro's one of them. I mean, they have experienced players. I mean, who kind of have been on the biggest stages. And I feel like more so than Spurs do. Maybe that plays somewhat of a role. But yeah, it's honestly this could either be a really exciting, thrilling final, or it could be a complete just dud. It really could go anyway, but I'm going to say United has a slight edge.
Jacob, you side with Ricardo?
Yeah, I do agree with them. I just think United's a little better. I think that they've been pretty good in this tournament, as we alluded to earlier, and I think that means something, that they seemingly have risen to the occasion in the Europa League, where again, they've had a much tougher road than Tottenham. I mean, that is not debatable. I mean, who the hell did Tottenham? They beat Bodo Glimt. Where the hell is
Bodo
that?
Glimt did knock out Lazio, who were the number 1 team in the competition. But
where are you? I mean, forgive me for
Norway.
describing them, but okay, Norway. They beat a team in Norway to get to the final. I mean,
The two-legged tie against Frankfurt was impressive. That was their most impressive.
That I agree with. Yeah.
Especially when as you mentioned earlier, Ricardo, Ange, for one of the very few times in his Tottenham tenure, showed the willingness to adapt. I think it was early on in that second half on the road. That gives me a little more optimism about Tottenham. I personally, just before we get back to Jacob on what you think, I think Tottenham has shown some levels that they haven't in this competition. I know their run has not been as impressive as Manchester United, but I have a feeling that Tottenham's just going to rise to the occasion knowing what's at stake. And, that's not something that they've done in the past. This group, I think, has a little less experience in finals, at least in the club game, because I know you've Romero's played in a World Cup final. You have a lot of these, English players have played in some big matches for England. But at the club level, it really hasn't been a group that's understood what it takes to win a final. So I think they're a little behind United in that aspect. But I think in terms of talent, they have the edge just in terms of individuals. I guess the question is whether or not those individuals can show out in a final. Because, again, Human Son's going to try to lead this team to a place they've never been. Can he show up on the big occasion? One of the strikers, whether that's Solanke, Mateus Tell, Richarlison. These are all players that have to prove something on a night that they'll remember for the rest of their lives if they pull it off. But the question is, can those individuals show up? I think that's the question. Jacob, back to you.
I mean, Dominic Solanke is a guy that to me is not a big club player, and I feel like that's been proven this year. Where they spent a lot of money to get him, and I think that's probably one of the more disappointing aspects of Tottenham. Is for years they were considered cheap, and in the end, they've actually spent a lot of money. They spent a lot of money on Solanke. They spent a good amount of money on Madison. They have invested in a lot of players, and which is something that they didn't do in years past, and it has not worked out. So I don't really trust, I think Son's a very good player, but what is he? I mean, do you consider him clutch? Do you consider him made for big moments? I mean, he's been at Tottenham a long time. What has he won? Nothing. So I mean, why am I supposed to believe that now is going to be the time where he gets it done? I mean, you could say because he's playing a pretty crappy Man U team. That's fair, but I don't know. But the problem is that I have that on one side, and I have what am I supposed to hang my hat on the other side? This is
it's a coin flip.
This is talk about an uninspiring matchup. My God. Yeah, I have my doubts about Tottenham rising to the occasion because again, when was the last time they've done that?
Yeah,
it's been a long time.
In a game that mattered, rather, I should say.
Yeah, I just want to say two things real quick. Well, I forgot to mention that. You said, Christian, that Kulusevski is out, Madison's out, so those are arguably two of their most creative players.
Definitely,
so that could hinder them as well. But devil's advocate, and just not lost to United. So in his tenure,
we talked about that. I mean, what is it? 4-0-1.
Yeah, 4 wins and a draw. Yeah. Over 2 seasons, which is, that's a decent sample size.
Yeah, which is
maybe he's got something.
Maybe, yeah,
or maybe he's due for a loss. I
don't know. It could be that too. Yeah. All right, let's go through just which team has advantages in each portion of the pitch, and then we'll get predictions.
Oh Lord.
All right, so this one's difficult, I would say. Vicario versus Onana, goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Vicario.
I think I go Vicario.
Yeah.
I can't. I mean, Vicario, which is such an indictment on Onana, in my personal opinion, that he's not better than Vicario. But I think they might start buying Deer.
I don't think there's any chance that happens.
You sure?
No.
Well, then his confidence is out the window. And
we know Amorim doesn't care about people's feelings.
Well, he does about Onana.
Onana started every European match. If I had,
are you sure?
Almost, it's got to be almost all of them.
You're probably right. I don't know. I just it's such a crazy thing to do that I really wouldn't put it past him.
I don't think he will.
If that would be really bold.
At that point, he's probably gone. But that's
But
neither here
no,
nor
he's probably not going to do that. It's just a shot out of the dark. But I guess Vicario's better.
Also, because Vicario doesn't make as many mistakes.
No.
He's played in 12 Europa League matches. I don't.
Right.
That sounds like almost all of them.
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
all of
right.
them. Jacob, would you give the edge to Onana if it is him?
No, I give it to Vicario,
clean
honestly.
sweep.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the right answer. Onana's got so many errors in him. I mean, I would not be surprised if he gives up a goal that should not be given up in this game.
Yeah.
With the way his season has gone. All right. Tottenham's back 4 versus United's back. I guess we'll call it a back 3 with the wing backs. With fitness, I'd go Tottenham. With Van de Ven and Romero there.
He's leading that way too, because and they also.
Well, but when is Van de Ven fit?
He is right now. Yeah. It's not. We're not talking about the whole season. Just a one-off game.
He is a good player.
So it's what is it? It's probably Udogie, Van de Ven, Romero, and Porro against. Do you want to just include them as say it's a back 5?
Yeah, I guess we can. So Dorgu, you have Maguire's in there, Mazarawi, and you would assume maybe Dallo can get back for right wing back, and then you have one more center back, whether that's Euro or De Ligt getting back from an injury. It's not that great back there.
Yeah, Lindelof.
Oh gosh.
If Dallo was playing,
how is he still there?
No.
Maybe if De Ligt and Euro were like fully fit, Dallo too, I would make it be a tougher answer for me.
Yeah, I go Tottenham. Yeah,
I guess I got to go with Tottenham.
All right, midfield.
This is different because you're doing it by unit instead of by individual. So
yeah,
it's an interesting one, but that's fair.
Midfield easily United.
Yeah, I mean,
especially with the injuries.
Exactly. Yeah,
that's where they're gonna have to win this match, though. They're gonna dominate that portion of the field.
They should. I mean, why wouldn't they?
Absolutely should. Yeah.
There's no Madison. Who are they gonna put in the midfield of Tottenham? I mean,
Basuma will play.
Basuma and Sarr?
I guess.
Basuma and Betancourt. I mean, who's going to play?
Betancourt will play. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not a midfield.
There's no goals in that midfield.
There's not much creativity.
There's not much going forward in that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want, I mean, that would be good for a 0-0 draw if that's what you were going for. But
yeah,
that's a
goals.
Yeah, I mean, like let's look in the second leg of the semifinal, they played Basuma, Bentancur, and Kulusevski. Obviously, Kulusevski's not going to play.
Yeah, if he plays,
there's not many other options there. I don't even know. There really isn't another option.
No.
So yeah, I think United. That's like a landslide in my opinion, especially with like Bruno's playing.
Yeah, that's not close.
All right, and then front 3. Or front, I guess front.
I mean,
3.
United play like I don't know what the hell they do. They play like a 2 and 2. It's like
two. It's 2 underneath the striker, so it'll probably be Garnacho and
Diallo. No,
it would be like Mount. I think Mount's good. I think
Mount maybe gets a start.
I think Mount is showing.
Gosh, this one's tough for me. That front line for United doesn't inspire me at all.
But this
who's more proven? I'd say the Tottenham front is more proven. But
so we're comparing what? We're comparing Son.
I guess we're comparing Bruno.
Brennan Johnson.
I guess Bruno's in this
spot
because you have Bruno and probably Garnacho and then Højlund.
Yeah.
And then for
that ain't the best combo.
Tottenham, I would assume Solanke starts. Brennan Johnson's been probably their most informed forward.
Oh, really?
And Son.
Neither are that.
Oh gosh,
I can't believe we have to brag about Brennan Johnson.
I mean, I think he's got like 20 plus goals this season in all comps. He's been their best forward.
I didn't even realize that because every time I watch him, I feel like he disappears.
No, you wouldn't think that, but he's popped up with good goals.
He does have 11 in the league.
I'd say Spurs.
I got a headache just going through this lineup as we speak. God.
Tottenham just.
I guess.
By a very slim margin.
I guess I go United.
I feel like Mount, Bruno and Hoyland is. If it isn't,
If Bruno's a part of the attacking line, he's the best.
Yeah.
Best player
Well,
in the grouping, and I think that gives him the edge.
Yeah, I guess so.
yeah.
In that sense, yeah.
So then we're gonna compare Hoyland against
Solanke.
Solanke. Oof. Neither.
Richarlison.
God.
Solanke. Not really by much.
I need to
Either.
take an Advil when we're done with this. My Lord.
All right. Well, I think I don't know. It's kind of a tie at this point for the group. It feels like
I guess I'm gonna give it to Solanke.
More proven.
and pretend he's still playing for Bournemouth. I don't know. I mean, maybe
Still
that'll
more
make
proven.
it work.
it's bad.
Yeah.
God.
All right. We'll finish it off.
This is like shopping for used clothes.
What's wrong with thrifting?
I mean, like you really use clothes, not like like they were used yesterday and now they're being sold.
Worn yesterday by somebody else and then just put on the clearance rack.
Yeah, exactly. That's what that's what this is. This is like shopping at Goodwill. Like this is like, oof.
All right, let's finish this thing off with predictions. Jacob.
United 2-1. I was stuck on two possible scores, but I picked that one.
Okay. Let me guess. Your prediction, your other one was 3-2.
Yeah.
And guess what? I'm going with that one. So I'm glad you didn't say it. Yeah, 3-2 United.
Oh boy. I think this goes to extra time. Just
I also thought about that too.
Yeah.
Extra time.
Just
I can't go high scoring here. I just think
I was tempted.
I feel like
for
both teams
0-0.
are just gonna miss a ton of good chances. And they're just gonna agonize both fan bases for 120 minutes. I will go 2-2 and Tottenham wins on PKs because Onana's gonna have a howler in there.
All right, be different. All right, respect it.
We'll ask Andrew what he thinks, but
yeah,
gosh, I'm just I don't even think I'm excited for this final. I just think it's gonna be brutal.
I just want chaos, honestly.
Yeah, chaos is what I want.
Please, yeah, just go with what you've been doing all season and be chaotic, please. That's all I ask.
Yeah. All right. Well, it was good to film one of these again. It's been way too long. Hopefully we can get together for Conference League preview for Jacob, Champions League preview.
Yeah.
We could do it. We could. There's a lot of possibilities. I mean, the Premier League season's about to end.
Yeah.
So
can someone
plenty of content.
Sorry, why is Conference League after Europa League? It should be the other way around.
That's a fantastic point. The Conference League final should also be this week.
Yes. I just had to say that because it annoys me. It's the most irrelevant competition. Sorry, Jim.
Hey.
I'm sorry, but it's true.
You know how much this competition means to me?
He doesn't want to lose to Anthony.
Are we actually playing Betis?
Yeah.
I didn't realize. I've been so out to lunch.
You know, Ricardo, that does prove your point. He's in the final and he doesn't even know who he's playing.
Little. Yeah, exactly.
Yikes.
Thank you.
Oh, they better win. If they don't win against friggin' Betis, it's gonna get ugly. I'm just gonna let you know.
Don't sleep on them. We'll get into that.
I'm not sleeping on them. That's not the point. The point is that this team cost £1 billion.
And we'll spend $1 billion more.
That doesn't mean it's spent well. It's probably some of the worst spending ever. I mean, don't get me. I'll save that for another episode. But
yes. All right. That's all from us. Follow us on Twitter. Obviously, subscribe on YouTube. We enjoy making the content. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed as well. Let us know in the comments if you want any videos for the summer. Well, plenty of ideas coming in for summer transfers, Club World Cup. You name it, we'll have it. But thanks for watching, and see us next time.